welcome back to PlayStation Access. My name is Nathan. I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
Dave, today at Gamescom we spent quite a bit of time with EA.
Yeah.
One of the things which I got to do was we've played quite a lot of FIFA 18,
yes.
which you will not be able to see much of for a couple of weeks. But also I sat down with their lead gameplay producer, and so I just had a big chat about off
gameplay,
camera.
I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I wanted to not do it on camera just so that I could kind of sit down and maybe ask, not really well thought out questions, but just,
yeah,
stuff that doesn't necessarily come across as well.
You were unprepared.
No, I really wasn't. But loads of interesting stuff came out of it, and which is why the title of this video is How to Score a Goal in FIFA 18.
Please tell me, because let me tell you, I've been struggling.
We scored all manner of goals.
We have, to be fair.
And that was really his... So my question was, and I knew I wouldn't get an answer, started off, what's the most effective way of scoring a goal in FIFA 18? And his answer was, of course, what would you guess?
There are many ways.
Yeah, like his answer was, what we would like is for people to be able to play whatever style of football that they would like to, and for that to be effective in scoring goals. And it's their job to balance the game.
Definitely.
So then I said, okay, but that's always your aim. So moving on from last year, what kind of stuff have you had to tweak in order to bring this game up to, to more balance?
Yeah.
And then I got some interesting answers.
Okay. Let's hear it.
The kind of things they wanted to make possible this year, we've all heard about the... we've done a video, 7 changes that you've been waiting for.
Yep.
And we've spoken about the fact that they've been trying to add in these kind of blockbuster moments.
Yes.
And so he was kind of talking about how you make those possible, and also talking about wanting to make more... He said that the midfield... No, the centre of the pitch in the penalty area was very crowded last season. So it was quite hard. It was a bit stodgy in there. You couldn't really pass around. There's that really famous Jack Wilshere goal for Arsenal, or any goal that Barcelona score, basically. The kind of one-touch around the box stuff.
Yeah.
He admitted that was quite hard to play last year. And so they have done a lot of work with positioning in order to spread players out, offensive players, in order to make that kind of one-touch stuff more possible. And I would say, from our gameplay tonight, genuinely, and I'm sure I'll go online and still get smashed, but genuinely that stuff is like more doable this time. And even if it wasn't ending up in goals, you do 4 or 5 like really sublime little like layoffs and stuff and just feel really good about yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking for a football game.
Yeah, definitely.
These days.
I really like pressing pass and it looking amazing. And all manner of passes, just by me just pressing do a pass. So what he said was, last year, all of their telemetry, their data, was telling them that the most effective way of scoring a goal was pace up the wing, cut inside, and then the low-driven shots to the corner. Yeah. And
the low-driven shots were they're a relatively new addition to FIFA. And so one of the things that they, one of the things to combat that is holding R1 to move your keeper across to cover that far post. Obviously, I guess that is opening up the other side of the goal, but they know that is, this is something which they're not really even highlighting. It's just for the slightly harder core players. And so, that was kind of where my chat started, and it was a nice way to get into the idea, get into the kind of the nuts and bolts of gameplay. And one of the other ways that they have really balanced trying to not make it so there's just one best way of scoring is the new crossing system.
Right.
Which is new in terms of... See, this is one of the things I didn't really pick up on the first time I got to play it a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And it answered loads of questions for me in terms of, like there is a sort of a voodoo around how you cross. You kind of up there next to the box and you press circle. What is the game looking for? Is it looking for like a really nice early ball into the box?
Yeah. Is
it looking for... are you supposed to be facing towards the box or away, or at a 45-degree angle? Yeah. And now I know.
Oh man, honestly, like this is my entire FIFA career you've just described.
Well, you should have got this guy.
I've spent ages trying to, like, every time I'm pressing circle, I'm going, it's just not what I wanted at all. So previously, people who play FIFA will be familiar with, that there was a single tap cross, reasonably loopy last year. Driven cross is double tap, and then triple tap for along the ground. They've rejigged those controls, so the driven cross is now the default. I mean, that's like the smallest element of it, really. Oh wow.
But more than that, I was like asking him about the contextual kind of inputs. So there is obviously they want these systems to reflect player skill.
Yeah.
So if you're good, then you obviously have a better chance of a goal, basically.
Yeah.
And that isn't just pressing a single button or even double tapping a button. It's organising and orchestrating a situation where you have more chance of delivering a good ball into the box than not. And so what he was saying was, defensive pressure really affects your accuracy.
Okay.
So how close defenders are to you, whether there's two of them, whether there's one of them, whether you're on your good or bad foot is obviously like a big factor. And it is when you're facing the area, you have a higher chance of delivering a good cross.
Right.
So which is because my ideal, in my mind is the guy bombing up the wing, just getting his foot around the ball and then crossing it in.
Yeah, he's facing the goal line rather than and then just whipping his foot around.
Maybe that isn't the best way. Although, I mean, I did score a couple of goals today getting to the byline, dinking a ball to the penalty spot. So that stuff is still possible. But just so you know, the ideal is you're not... and sprinting also is not the best.
Right. So you want to maybe sprint down the wing, then slow up. If you've got someone on you, you've got to find a clever way to get away from them.
Exactly. You want to beat a man onto your strong foot with lots of space facing the goal.
Turn in field and then...
So that's also, I mean, because it's probably the easiest way to try and beat a man and make space for a cross is to run up, then simply turn back on yourself. But then if you're on your weaker foot...
And you're facing away, it could be on your weaker foot.
So maybe, one of the things you could do is swap your fullbacks over. No, don't do that. That would be a terrible idea. You could game the game in other ways. So yeah, that was kind of... it really brought home to me the importance of the new crossing system, which was something which, it's not the most glamorous
That's
entry.
genuinely interesting to me.
Me too, man.
I was really excited to hear that.
I was having a really... I was just having a really nice chat, and also feedback from the recent beta was that defending felt much more manual.
Right.
And people were maybe slightly worried about, because the new dribbling, which we have covered on the channel, it's really great fun. It takes the emphasis off skill moves to beat players, and you're able to change direction even when sprinting. Obviously, it depends on how agile and what kind of centre of gravity your players have got. But Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, even kind of Dele Alli, kind of skillful players are able to shift direction, move the ball from one foot to the other, and you're going to feel like you're really able to, to move it.
Yeah.
And defensive players worried about that, and the answer really is yes, it is a bit more manual, but if you master the new hard tackle, which is just whether you're playing on alternate or classic controls, for me it's square because I play for alternate, if you hold that down, it kind of charges up just for like half a second, like a big strong tackle. But he also said that what players are not really realising is that while you're charging it up, it is waiting for an opportunity to make a tackle. So if the ball comes to you while you're charging it up, it will interrupt that process and you will just do a regular tackle.
Yeah.
So it's much more powerful than people realise, and you're able to lunge a bit further with the hard tackle. So he was basically saying, we know that the dribbling is quite strong, and we also know that we have taken some of the kind of auto-aim off the defending, but the hard tackle is a way to do that while, again, introducing that kind of element of player skill, which they're kind of aiming for in the gameplay this year. So that was really interesting as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And then I tapped out by asking, my question was just kind of, the journey is huge. Everybody, every FIFA video, there'll be some in these comments as well. Every FIFA video we do, people always ask what's going on with career mode.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to ask that today because it's just not the right guy. And FIFA Ultimate Team is kind of this all-consuming...
What's that?
Giant.
Not heard of that.
Exactly. So I kind of, so my question was, how important is gameplay to, how, as the guy who is in charge of the gameplay team, do you feel like you're getting a fair shake? Is there still, the resources being given to you? And the answer, as you'd expect, was, the only reason people play gameplay is at the core of everything, and if it wasn't any good, then people would soon drift away from the game. But the really interesting thing that came from it, I expected that bit of the answer, was that the more complicated FIFA gets, the more that his team has to liaise with all the other teams who are making their kind of little bits of FIFA.
Yeah.
So like the Journey, for instance, sometimes you go on loan and you might be playing against 3-star teams. So it just puts that, and always the challenge for a game like FIFA or any football game is to make sure that top-level football feels great, but then in a realistic way, lesser skilled players are also fun to play with.
Yeah.
So they had to make sure that 3-star teams that you might be playing with when you go on loan, because otherwise no one's going to play the journey.
Yeah.
And also, which I had never thought about, in FIFA Ultimate Team, they had to have loads of kind of input into the fact that chemistry can boost the performance of it. So like regular Real Madrid are this good.
Yeah.
And then in FIFA Ultimate Team, if you assembled that squad, because they'd all have chemistry with each other, because they play in the same league, they would be even better than regular Real Madrid, and you need to just make sure that that isn't unbalancing things or making certain things possible.
Sounds like a nightmare.
That's what I thought. But also, just, you know, and that is the job of the gameplay team. So they're not only are they trying to introduce new stuff, making the game better every year, but they're also trying to make sure that, you know, that the giant ship FIFA is like running on all cylinders wherever it is, which I thought was really, really interesting.
It is really interesting. I wonder how that dynamic works. Whether, you know, other teams are going like, oh, we're doing a thing this year where you're going to be playing with 3-star teams, but we want it to feel amazing. Like, oh, okay,
cool.
Well,
okay,
we're going to have to change some things.
We were going to fix the keepers this year.
Yeah,
so
and also Real Madrid in Ultimate Team, they have to have really good chemistry, which means they're going to have to be better than Real Madrid.
Than everybody else.
Okay.
Well, well, the thing is about chemistry is it's so it's not even that predictable. It's so unpredictable because people are going to be assembling squads from everywhere. Everyone's got different sorts of squads, and chemistry is going to affect them all differently, but it still has to be fun, Dave.
Yeah.
It still has to be fun.
It's always going to be fun.
So going back to the title of of this video, just before we leave, in my experience, having played quite a bit, long shots are pretty gosh darn effective.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that is going to be tuned before release. And then as the guy from the team I was talking to today was saying, basically as soon as the game comes out, they will, you know, once millions of people are playing the game rather than hundreds, they will see where the emphasis, you know, what the most effective way to play this year is, and it won't be deliberate, it won't be designed.
No, it never is.
And they will try and fix it.
Yeah.
So the most effective way is whatever way you guys want it to be.
Oh,
that's the answer.
That's a naughty answer.
I'm sorry about
that. But
that.
also running down the wing, well, slowly, and passing into the boss facing the goal.
Down.
Crossing was facing the goal.
Pushing
that's also a good
out
one.
The way,
yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I hope you enjoyed that. A really interesting chat. And, you know, those guys are only trying to do good work. And me and you have played 3 hours of FIFA tonight.
Yeah.
And had a good time.
We had a really good time, yeah.
We will have more coming up on the channel soon. So do stay tuned for that. Let us know in the comments what you think of the FIFA that you have seen so far. Perhaps you've been on the beta recently and you want to let us know about your gameplay impressions. And do stay tuned to PlayStation Access. We have got loads more coming up.